Megan, it appears I misunderstood things a little.
Oh, Miss Baker, good evening. What do you mean by you misunderstood things? I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
I was just so certain that you were a woman with a reputable lineage. I thought you had a good upbringing and were a respectable person. But today, I was extremely disappointed in what I learned.
Disappointed? In what? Do you have some problem with my father or something?
Well, for one thing, I had no idea that you were raised by your father alone. You never had a mother in the house. If I had known you had such an insufficient upbringing, I would have never given permission for your marriage in the first place.
What? What are you talking about?
Don't tell me you aren't embarrassed about it. Don't you realize how shameful it is for someone to not even understand how terribly unsightly they are in the eyes of society? I can only imagine that they know no shame.
I do not think that my being raised in a single-parent household is anything to be ashamed of. As a matter of fact, I have nothing but respect for my father for doing such a good job raising me without my mother.
Respect? You respect him? I can't believe you would respect a filthy man like him. I don't think anything good will come of talking to you.
How dare you call my father a filthy man?
Well, what else would I call him?
You shouldn't need to call him any names at all. After lecturing me on my supposedly bad upbringing, I'm surprised you would be so blatantly rude. What makes you think it's fine to insult my father like this?
All I'm doing is stating the truth, and you're telling me that you respect such a terrible man? The difference in our personal values is quite clear, I believe. And yet now I find that a woman like you is the wife of my son. You will need to learn to appreciate the values of someone who actually had a proper upbringing.
What are you trying to say here?
I will need you to do as I say.
Oh, and what might your orders be, then?
That ugly man must not be allowed to be admitted to the wedding venue.
Excuse me? Today was the first day our families got to see each other at all. And you have already decided to look down on my father? To the point where you want to try to prohibit him from attending his own daughter's wedding.
If you don't like my condition, then we can just cancel the wedding entirely.
You think you can just cancel the wedding entirely? What makes you think you can make such a demand, let alone determine whether I get married because of it?
If you intend to have your hideous father participate with the rest of our family, then I will simply have the wedding canceled. Are you sure you're okay with that?
I haven't given you a response either way. Don't put words in my mouth. Do you have no conscience? My father is the only blood relative I have. You must be insane if you think I'm going to tell him he's not allowed to come. What you're asking of me is utterly ridiculous. Do you not have a heart at all?
I don't care what words you have for me. This is something for me and me alone to decide.
Oh, is that so? I can't say I agree with that claim. Leroy and I are the ones who are getting married. So I think it's obvious that we would be the ones to decide who can come and who can't.
Oh, is that what you think? I'm afraid you are very much mistaken. Leroy is my son. As his mother, it is my responsibility to handle the wedding ceremony and ensure everything goes smoothly.
You're wrong. That is not your job. It's not yours, nor is it my father's. The role of the parents is to attend a wedding and be happy seeing their children join together in marriage. I think anyone would agree that simply enjoying the wedding is sufficient. You have no responsibilities regarding our wedding, save celebrating when the time comes.
My word, you truly are dumber than you first appeared. Though I suppose that's to be expected given your faulty upbringing.
What is it now?
My husband is the president of a major company. That's why he wasn't able to meet your father today. However, at the very sight of a man as dingy as your father, he would struggle not to faint. Do you really think it's a good idea to cause your future husband's parents to bear such ill will towards you? Can you even call yourself a wife if you were to do that?
And you think that making that wife feel such ill will towards yourself is somehow better? My father was doing lots of hard construction work today. That's why he looked as he did. He was forced to stay later and didn't have time to clean himself up. In case you've forgotten, my father explained, that specifically as he apologized for his appearance today, he doesn't get much choice in when he is required to go to work, and sometimes work days go long. It's always been harder for us to plan out gatherings with friends for that reason. He takes great pride in his appearance whenever he has the time to take care of himself, but his job just doesn't always let him do that.
I don't care what you have to say. All I hear is excuses. So, you really want to cancel the wedding that much then?
Can you please stop with these ridiculous threats? This wedding is between me and Leroy.
And I'm telling you that if you intend to let that filthy man into the venue, that wedding will be scrapped faster than you can say I do. I do not intend to discuss this any further.
Can you please just have a heart? My father has been an absolutely indispensable part of my life. He's the only person I've had up until I met Leroy. I know if you just stop to think for a moment, you will understand. Anyway, I will be going now. Goodbye.
I'm so sorry about how my mom acted today. I told she needed to lighten up before we gathered together, but she just didn't care. I tried to tell her that she needed to learn to accept that other families are different from what she thinks is proper.
Thanks, Leroy. But unfortunately, she's gone even further. I just had a conversation with her, and she told me not to even invite my father to the wedding.
Are you serious? She went that far. I did everything I could to get her to quit it with this holier-than-thou behavior of hers, but she just doesn't get it. I'm so sorry that she went so far as to insult your father like that. When my father learned of all of this, he went into a frenzy.
Do you think he said anything to Judy?
I mean, I know what I've told her at least, but she hasn't been too receptive to anything I've said, unfortunately. She only hears what she wants to hear. She's the kind of person who only believes what she sees with her own eyes. When she saw that your father was someone who did what she sees as blue-collar work, she just judged him unilaterally based on stereotypes. It also didn't help that she saw that your father was dirty from work. She is super judgmental towards people she sees as filthy.
Yeah, it's really frustrating that he didn't have a chance to clean up after work. We both knew it was unsightly for him to appear like that. But we didn't exactly have any other choice, as being late would have looked just as bad. He can't help it when a day goes longer. He doesn't exactly get much choice in the matter.
I understand. These sorts of unexpected things happen. My mother's the one who's wrong here, judging people based on their appearance alone. Don't worry. I'll be sure to make it clear to her that your father has to come to the wedding too.
Are you sure?
What are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? He's your family. Of course, he has to come.
You're right. I shouldn't just be giving in to her threats like this. I will make sure that my father comes to the wedding. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're on my side.
I feel like it's silly to even ask, but I won't be seeing that filthy man here today, will I?
Excuse me? This is Leroy's and my wedding day. Of course, my father is going to attend. It would be wrong for him not to.
Oh dear. So you did not listen to a thing I said then? I did my best to warn you, but I guess it was a futile effort, wasn't it?
What's this about warning me now? All I remember was you making blatant threats and insulting my father. Didn't you hear anything from Leroy? My father is family too, so of course he is going to be in attendance today.
I will not permit it.
Oh, leaving aside how you think that your permission even matters. Why would you forbid him?
For a family like ours who is known for being high-class business owners, it would make us look terrible to others if they learned that. My son took some blue-collar worker's daughter for a wife. And that's not even getting into just how excessively filthy that man is.
Do you ever know when to shut up? All you're doing is getting me pissed off. I'm at my limit with your prejudicial behavior.
So you're saying that you're intending to destroy your chance to have a wedding at all? Having originally only met you, I permitted you to marry my son. However, I had known nothing of your unacceptable upbringing or that lowly father of yours. I will not have you bringing such trash to this ceremony.
I guess you're the one who really has no shame, huh? For you to speak so horribly about another person, regardless of their relationship with you. It's absolutely deplorable.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I am only stating facts, nothing more. I do not approve of a lowly, filthy construction worker, like your father being a part of my son's wedding. And do not you forget, if you still try to defy me, I will not hesitate to cancel the wedding entirely. Now, wouldn't that be sad?
Fine. Then there will be 2 people missing today.
Excuse me.
I'm done dealing with you. I don't know if you've misunderstood your place at this event or something, but I have no intention to have anything to do with a horrible mother who feels like she can threaten others with a self-satisfied grin on her face. You have gone too far, and I want nothing more to do with you. However, it won't just be my father who will be absent. I will not be there either.
What are you talking about? It's your wedding. Did you forget that or something?
Well, you said it yourself, didn't you? You said you would cancel the wedding, right? I certainly remember you gleefully shoving that threat in my face. So, I simply won't take part. That should make canceling it rather easy, don't you think?
I don't understand what you're saying. I can't comprehend what you're doing here.
Really? Isn't this what you've been hoping for this whole time? You kept telling me that you would cancel the wedding if I didn't comply with your demand. Did you really think I'd break and consent to barring my father? I have no need for a wedding where my father is not allowed to walk me down the aisle. So, I will not be taking part in the ceremony. Well, why don't you just cancel the whole affair then?
What do you mean? Why don't I just cancel it? That would obviously cause problems. There will be serious trouble if we can't proceed with the wedding. I've already invited all of our relatives and many of my friends. What sort of selfish stunt are you trying to pull? There's no way you could just not take part in your own wedding. The very idea is ludicrous. If you thought about it for even a second, you would understand.
Oh, what's this now? Didn't you want to cancel the wedding from the very beginning? All I did was go along with what you seem to be wishing so hard for. There's no point in getting worked up about it now. It's too late. You felt no remorse about berating and belittling my father. As a matter of fact, you looked like you were enjoying it. There's no point in listening to anything you have to say anymore. I have no intention of letting you be a part of my life in the slightest. I've already told Leroy that I won't be attending the wedding. My father has already contacted your husband as well.
What? What are you talking about? Why does your father know how to get in contact with my husband? The 2 of them never met. When we met each other for the first time, my husband was busy with work.
I figured you would have learned to stop judging people solely based on their appearance by now. Sure, my father does construction work. That is true. However, he also owns a lot of land and is a major investor in your husband's company. If things continue as they are right now, I can't be sure whether or not your husband's company will still have that investor by the end of the week. My father is quite angry about the current state of affairs after all.
I don't understand what you're saying. What do you mean he's an investor? Are you saying he's not just a blue-collar construction worker?
Congratulations, Judy. It sounds like you're finally learning to listen to people for the first time in your pathetic life. To you, he may just look like a lowly construction worker who does deserve your attention, a filthy man who isn't worth a thing. However, My precious father also happens to be one of the biggest sources of funding for your husband's company. Of course, he has met your husband multiple times before, at investor meetings and similar events.
I haven't heard anything about this. I don't know of any such meetings between the two of them. You're just trying to come up with some sort of lie to mess with me, aren't you?
What would be the point of me trying to lie to you at this point in time? Lying to you would be a fruitless endeavor. As you so love to say, I am just stating facts, nothing more.
Wait, really?
Yes, really. I'm sure Leroy has already explained this to you multiple times before.
He has. I don't remember him saying anything like that.
Well, of course you don't. You chose to ignore everything he said to you, thinking he was just trying to say whatever he could to protect me. You completely misunderstood the situation because of your arrogance and your outright refusal to listen to a thing your son said. I think it would have been better if you actually listened to what people said to you before doubting them. Don't you think?
I had no idea he was saying anything of the sort. He always was doing his best to support you, so I thought he was just doing that yet again. So, this isn't my fault. This was all just a simple misunderstanding.
Do you really think you can just explain everything away as just a misunderstanding?
Well, I just didn't know about everything that was going on behind the scenes. I thought he was just some filthy blue-collar worker, but it's a different story if he's actually a landowner. It's fine, then. He has my permission to attend the wedding. I would appreciate it if you didn't introduce him as a construction worker.
No, thank you. Your permission will not be necessary.
Why not?
Did you forget? My father and I will not be attending that wedding. I do know how you did it, but you somehow managed to arrange everything to be the way you wanted it. Not that I'm surprised that you'd do something so selfish. The wedding that's happening today was planned to be all about you, not me or Leroy.
Don't say things like that. It would be awful if the entire thing were to be canceled. Don't you realize that? I've already invited so many people.
And there you go again, only thinking of yourself. All that matters to you is that you look good to these friends of yours. Isn't that right? This wedding is for Leroy and me, but you have done everything you could to control every aspect of it. You have even gone so far as to insult my family while doing so. The whole event is an affront to me and my father. I have no intention of speaking with you any longer. I've already spoken with Leroy, and he has agreed to cut all ties with you.
What do you mean, cut all ties? What's going to happen to the wedding then?
We will not give you the wedding you hoped for so much. Today's wedding will be canceled. Make sure you properly pay all the cancellation fees, okay?
Why do I have to do that?
Isn't it obvious? It's your fault that it came to this to begin with. Aren't you happy? The wedding got canceled, just like you wanted. Though I suppose the way it all turned out was probably a little different than you were imagining, huh? In the end, my father and I obviously didn't go to the wedding, so there was nothing left to do but cancel the entire ceremony and reception. As for Judy, the one who made everything fall apart in the first place, from what I heard from Leroy, she was extremely embarrassed in front of all the people she had invited. Of course, she was saddled with all the cancellation fees for everything from the church to the reception's catering. Her husband was enraged at her for doing something so horrible just to satisfy her inflated ego and kicked her out of the house. Right now, apparently they're going through divorce proceedings, with Leroy disowning her as well. She was left isolated. With no family or friends that cared about her anymore. I can't say I care though. She deserved everything she got. Making someone else's wedding be all about you is beyond selfish, let alone insulting the bride's family. As for Leroy and me, we're putting together a smaller wedding just for us, some friends, and our remaining family. Obviously, Judy will not be invited. We're looking forward to finally becoming husband and wife on our terms.